Alright, so today I want to show you my 5 favorite ball pythons that I have here in my collection. As a matter of fact, I went through and I counted all my snakes. I have 116 snakes here in my reptile breeding operation. As a matter of fact, I'm going to unload about half of them at the upcoming reptile show, the Denver Repticon, October 19th and 20th, 2019 is about a week away. Hope to see you there. It'll be a pretty awesome show. And the snakes I want to show you today are some of the holdbacks from last year. Pretty much some of the best stuff I hatched out last year, some of the best that I hatched out this year, and one snake that I actually bought into. And talking about my favorite snakes, I'm actually going to leave Bobby out of my top 5. This is Bobby, my bamboo ball python, and he is really deep in shit. I don't know if you can see. He is super, super blue. He's pretty much the mascot for my YouTube channel. Pretty much my #1 favorite snake in my entire collection, but I'm going to leave him out of the top 5 because he's kind of above and beyond all the other snakes. He's kind of my most famous snake here. And I also want to show you my 2 reticulated pythons. As a matter of fact, I just paired them up yesterday. Let me tell you, pulling that male retic out of that boa tub and moving him over in with Lucy, that was an interesting experience. Luckily, he didn't snap at me and I didn't take a bite, but you never know with these retics when you get into the breeding season. So first what I'm going to show you is I want to show you my 2 reticulated pythons. Lucy weighs about 80 pounds and Sunny weighs about 40. So I have about 120 pounds of reticulated python snake in this big enclosure. Hoping they'll breed and hoping I'll actually get some eggs from them this year. So let's check out those monster snakes. Alright, so take a look at this big old beast of a snake. This is Lucy. She is the female. Really big, awesome snake. I can't believe how big she's getting. She's actually 50% Jampea dwarf. She is a white albino reticulated python. And the interesting thing about the white albino is there's actually a lavender gene that attaches to the albino. You can either have 1 copy or 2 copies of the lavender albino. If you have 2 copies, you actually have a purple albino reticulated python, and that is what I have over here. This is Sunny, and Sunny is a purple albino reticulated python. He is the male. Take a look at how beautiful that snake is. He is a stunner. And he is pretty big. I would say he's probably, I think the last time I weighed him, he's about 35 pounds. And this is actually a 6-foot enclosure. And every year it keeps getting smaller and smaller. These snakes are really packed in here. I'm thinking maybe what I need to do is I need to actually take Lucy out of here and have this as Sunny's enclosure. And then get a bigger one for Lucy. And lately I just put kind of in the back here, a really big water bowl. It holds 3 gallons of water. And I think Sunny jumped in there because I think it flooded and all the coconut husk absorbed a lot of the moisture. So it is really kind of hot and steamy in there. Usually I don't keep it that moist in there. But these are my big retics. And I would say I've been feeding Lucy pretty heavy lately. She's, I don't know, if she lays eggs, I would think she could probably lay 35 or 40 eggs. It would be pretty incredible. And all the babies, so the babies would be interesting. The genetics on this are kind of interesting. They're both 50% Jampea dwarf. But Sunny, the male, he's actually a part super dwarf. I think it's 37.5% super dwarf. So all the babies will be half of that of a super dwarf. I haven't figured out the math. It's kind of a fraction of super dwarf. They'll all be 50% Jampea dwarf. And then they'll get 1 copy of the purple albino, which would be kind of a mix halfway between the white and the purple. So they'll be all lavender albinos, which would be kind of an interesting shade. It'll be interesting to see what they actually look like compared to these 2 snakes. And then if you bred 2 of the babies together, you'd get white albinos, lavender albinos, and purple albinos out of the mix. I'm almost tempted to hold 2 of the babies back just to see, you know, what the combination would be from the clutch, the 3 different types of lavender and purple albinos. But this is Lucy. She is a stunner. She is probably my most beautiful snake. The only problem is she is so big, she is so hard to handle, but she is a really awesome snake. All right, take a look at this snake. This is my banana Anchee clown male. I bought this on Morph Market this year. It's probably one of the most expensive snakes that I have in my collection. I've seen females over on Morph Market selling for about $4,000. Pretty incredible combo. This is one of the most impressive snakes that I have ever seen. It almost doesn't even look real. It looks kind of comical. And the funny thing is, when you mix banana with clown, it really eliminates all of the freckling that you normally see in the banana. And then when you mix in the Anchee, it reduces all the pattern. And a lot of times the Anchee will bring out some more of the yellow on the snakes. And this guy, I'd say he's actually from last year. He's a hatchling from last year. And I'm thinking he's really close to breeding size. I'm going to try to pair him up with my two female clowns. I have two females that have been pounding the food. One of them laid eggs last year and was on food like a week after she laid eggs. It was on food ever since. I have one regular clown female and then another lesser clown. They're all visual clowns, so this will definitely be a really powerful breeder for me this year. Hoping to keep quite a few of the visual clowns back as future breeders. Maybe I can produce a banana Anchee lesser clown, which would be kind of the crown jewel, breeding back to the other one to keep. Hopefully I'll get a female out of that one, be able to keep that back as a future breeder and up my game on the clown project. All right, so take a look at this snake. This is the first time I produced a super pastel. Look at that thing. And for a super pastel, this is crazy bright. I can't believe how bright it is. This one happens to be 100% het desert ghost. I'm really excited about this project. And this is a female too. So I'll breed this back to my visual pastel desert ghost, and I'll get 50% of the babies will actually be a visual desert ghost, and then I'll get some pastel desert ghost and some super pastel desert ghost. And let me tell you, if you've never seen the pastel desert ghosts, they are like to die for. They are super incredible. It'll just kind of blow you away if you see some of the visual desert ghosts. And as far as hatchlings, this is one of the ones I was shooting for this year, and I got it. This is my crown jewel. All right, take a look at this beauty. This is a lesser ball python. I've produced a lot of lessers in the past, but this is the first time I've ever produced a lesser scaleless head. It has a few scales missing from the very top of the head. You breed two scaleless heads together and you can get a completely scaleless ball python. I have several female scaleless heads that I'm breeding up. They're not going to be ready this year. They might be on the edge next year as far as breeders, but in 2 years, I'll definitely have multiple females ready to go. I could breed this back to them and get some visual, totally scaleless ball pythons, and I'll get a totally scaleless lesser. I've never actually produced a totally scaleless ball python. This guy is absolutely one of the brightest lessers that I've ever seen. Super bright. And I know I have a possible het ghost in some of my lessers. I'm thinking maybe this one is het ghost and it's a scaleless head. I'm thinking maybe the influence of both of those is making it super bright. It is a really super bright lesser. And lessers are in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. You breed two lessers together, you get a super lesser, which is an all-white snake with blue eyes. And this is a really awesome snake. Actually, if another female lesser or something in the blue-eyed leucistic bred them both together, I could actually get a totally scaleless blue-eyed leucistic, an all-white snake with blue eyes that's totally scaleless. That would be a crazy snake. That is a really beautiful lesser. All right, take a look at this beautiful snake. This is one of my most impressive ball python hatchlings from last year. And for a yearling hatchling, this thing is really big. This is a male Calico bamboo. Just look at how beautiful that is. I actually produced one that had pastel in it. It was even more intense and bright. And someone offered me a crazy price for it. As a matter of fact, the price I sold it for was the same price I paid for my clown combo, believe it or not. It was a really impressive snake. And this is a male, so I'm definitely going to breed it this year to a couple of my females. I could breed it to a female normal, and believe it or not, I could reproduce this snake just breeding it with a normal. But what I think I'm going to do is I want to breed it either to my Lemon Blast or one of my pastel females. The problem is if you get pinstripe in the mix in one of these, the pinstripe really kind of fades out the contrast and kind of muddies it out a little bit. I actually have a Lemon Blast bamboo that I'm going to show you next, see what it looks like, and it's really intense when it's young and it kind of fades out when it's older. And it's just the opposite happens with this. It was really bright when it was young, and it seems like the older it gets, the brighter it gets. It is a super bright, super really high intensity line of Calico. This is a really stunning snake. All right, take a look at this snake. This is a beautiful bamboo Lemon Blast. So it has the bamboo, the pastel, and the pinstripe in the mix. And it's still, even with age, it still looks really kind of metallic colored. It is really intense. It is really probably one of my most beautiful ball pythons that I produced pretty much all of last year. I produced a couple really nice ones, and I'd say this is probably in my top 3 really beautiful snake. This is a female, and when I first hatched it out, I thought it was a male. And if you look at some of the little hieroglyphs on the back, this is like a little reindeer right here. We actually named this one King Tut because I thought it was a male, and then sure enough, I probed it later. I probed it a little too early at first, and we realized it was an inaccurate probe. You probe it to figure out the males and the females. Probed it a little bit later and then figured out it was actually Queen Tut instead of King Tut. But even still, it is a really beautiful snake. Just pretty unbelievable. It's going to be a really good breeder. Definitely not up to size this year, but next year I'm thinking this girl might be up to size the way she's eating and putting on the weight. Really beautiful ball python. Alright, so it is time for the question of the day. And Blair Brutala asks, why do I artificially incubate my ball python eggs instead of using maternal incubation where the mother snake will incubate the eggs? And that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, I think probably the number one reason I don't do it is I don't have the proper humidity and temperature here in my reptile room. What they really need is they need a higher humidity. I use a humidifier in here, but it's nowhere near the humidity you need. You probably need, I'd say, up in the 90-95% humidity at least, pretty much saturated as far as humidity, and the temperature needs to be 90 degrees. I keep my temperatures here about 83 degrees in my reptile room, and the reason I chose 83 degrees is it's pretty much the highest temperature that is comfortable for me working in here. Any higher and it's just pretty uncomfortable working here in the snake room, and that is pretty much my limit. It's pretty much my upper limit for me. It's the lower limit for the snakes. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.